I'm here. I'm fuzzy. But I'm here. Hi. Welcome. Eventually the camera will remember that I exist, I think, and not try to blur me, I guess. Maybe. Welcome. Welcome. It is Saturday night. We are hanging out. I guess I'm gonna cheers early to see if the camera can, maybe learn to focus on my face. Wow, my hair is something. I had it down and then it was warm and then I tried to put it up with my in-ears in. Don't recommend doing that. That does not work real well. No. No, so maybe we'll try it down again. I don't know. That's not the button I wanted. How are you doing? Tell me where you're coming in from, what you're sipping on this evening as I get myself. Are you kidding me right now? So I was all set and ready to do the show, and everything was good. I was on time, and then the dog needed a little extra something, and then the computer needed to refresh because it forgot that my mic and things existed. So Mercury is still very much in retrograde, and we're just running with it. So welcome. Thanks for coming in. Thanks for hanging out. This is not going to work for right now. We'll maybe try that again a little bit later. Um, hopefully this will. Aurora, do you do this on stream on purpose? No. Nope. Don't love having to adjust anything. And yet that's just how we're rolling tonight. It's been a week. So before we go ahead and get everything running, I did have some notes because the week in the news was heavy. I am aware of that. And I mean, we started a whole new war. Nobody seems to quite know why. I'm still running with that we have overgrown toddlers running things and they wanted to see things go boom boom. And there was nobody to tell them that that was a dumb idea and not to do it. So there's that. The Christy gnome of it all got fired but promoted but moved, so there's that. We're just covering the headlines. That's all I'm doing. I'm not even doing a deep dive into it. I'm just the things that have popped into my feed that I am paying attention to. Let's see. The primary season got kicked off in Texas, and we are gonna see Tellerico go up against either Colwyn or Paxton. It's gonna be a race. I will be following it. I will say that a good note of good news is we are showing up and showing out at the polls. Because the thing about primaries is the people who vote in the primaries are people like me, right? We are the uber political nerds, super get involved kind of folks. And it is a good marker for what sort of what we can expect for turnout in the general. And it is off the charts from everything I'm seeing so far. So that is great news. It's off to an impressive start. And it looks like people are trying to use their voice as best they can. I will say, as the primaries get going and we get closer to the November general, make a day of it. Make sure you can get to the polls, enact the buddy system, grab your friends and get to the polls together. If you are ghostly pale like myself, it is time that we use our privilege to the max to assist our friends who are ahead of us in as far as targets go with this. All of our more melanated friends are going to need somebody who is willing to, enact peak Karen power. So find a buddy system, get a buddy system in place to get to the polls. Also, because it's way more fun when you get to go with friends. But it's also, as much as it's weird for me to say this, for safety as well, because I don't think they're done. And I think there are more things that are going to happen. But here's the other thing. Community is key. They hate it when we have community. They hate it when we have the buddy system. They hate it when we do things together. And you know what they really hate? When we have fun doing it. So let's keep that up, because I'm seeing some really good things coming out of the earliest of the primaries. And I'm here for it. I'm here for it. So that's my short and sweet. I did it even before the intro, because I'm like, once we do the intro, guys, we are going to court, because I have been listening to this trial all week. I'm at one of those points where everybody at work is like, oh, what trial are you listening to? I am listening to the Kouri Richins trial, Utah versus Kouri Richins. And why am I listening to this trial? Well, because if I spend too much time in the news, I can get really bogged down. And doing this show keeps me running to a certain extent, but it can be really heavy. And yes, this trial is heavy, but trials pretty much across the board have moments sometimes where there can be some lighter things that go on. It is, now I say that, and this is a trial that is happening sort of in conjunction with the anniversary of all of the alleged things happening. And it is a murder trial. So it's heavy for those involved. And I lead with that by saying that if any of the family members come across this channel, I want them to feel comfortable in our chat. And so if I go off the rails, or I say something that it's having grace for everybody involved, really. I am going to say that in this particular case, I could not be a juror, because I've been following this since the earliest of pretrial motions. And I think since Kouri Richins' bond hearing, which was 2 or 3 years ago now. So I've been following this from the beginning, so I know too much. I could not be an impartial juror. But I am still watching. Gavel to gavel. So I'm going to go ahead and roll the intro. You let me know where we're coming in from. When we come back tonight, I'm going to give a brief little synopsis in case you missed last week. Timestamps are up, by the way, so if you want to get caught up on week 1, you can pop over there to that video and do that. And yes, roll the intro, Aurora, then do a little bit of a recap, and then we will get into it. Find the intro.
Welcome to Bark a Lot with the Aurora H. White. I'm a legal biller by trade, opinionated law and politics nerd by default. I'm here to break down the political, pop culture, and court headlines that we're all talking about. We value facts, thoughtful discussion, and salty language, so whether you're a fellow law nerd, a political junkie, or just looking for a little hope in today's crazy world, you're in the right place. Tap that subscribe button, pull up your soapbox, and let's go.
Let's go. I'm putting my hair up. It is actually nice and toasty in the office tonight, so the hair is going up. All right, so last week was the first week. It feels like this trial has been 974 years long, because all of the days are jam-packed, like jam-packed. So last week was week 1, And sorry, I'm trying to adjust my notes so that I can see them and also see chat. There we go. That's better. Anyway, so last week was week one. The allegations. The allegations are that the defendant, Kouri Richins, killed her husband by giving him a fentanyl-laced beverage. There is also an attempted murder allegation or charge where the prosecution is saying that she tried to poison him on Valentine's Day with an egg sandwich, and it didn't work. He managed to survive that. There are also things that I know, because I've been following this forever, that the jury does not know, like an altercation between Kouri Richins and her sisters-in-law after his death, all of that. We're going to start to see some of that in tonight's recap of things. So last week we got the general information. For dives on that, you can go check out last week's show. As always, I watch these things with various different attorneys in the law tube of it all. And I am a law nerd. I have it in the intro. I am a law nerd. I listen to these with Emily D. Baker, and that has somehow become a tangential part of trial this week. I will get into it. But so I always put my favorite takes, my favorite creators. Wow, words are hard tonight. In the description of this video, because those are the chats I'm hanging out in. Those are the creators I enjoy. And so I encourage you to go check them out, because I have had one of my family members has said that I explain the law in a way that helps them to understand. I'm going to say this now. I'm not an attorney. I work for them, but I am not an attorney. I'm not a legal assistant. I'm not a paralegal. I do not fall into that category at all. I am a law nerd, which means I spend all of my podcast time and things like that listening to attorneys who I think explain the law very well to people like me. So shout out to all of them, because I can translate. It has helped me in my life. I hope it has helped others. We may see a tuxedo feline trying to, yeah, we have a cat in the room in the studio with us today who may or may not make an appearance or cause destruction and mayhem, because it's that kind of a day. Okay, so last week was week one. We are still in the prosecution's case in chief. I'm seeing if I missed anything. So let us go to Monday, day 6 of trial. We saw that's what gets you to do full screen? Okay. I am fighting with tech today. That is not what I wanted to do. Hi, I'm just fighting with my tech. And now I see nothing. This is super fun. All right. Sorry, guys. I'm getting there. There we go. That's what I wanted to do. Trying to get my notes so that I can see it and you can see me and I can still be looking at you and have my notes where I can see them. Okay. Monday, we saw the former chief medical examiner testify. So we got a lot of information. There's a lot of medical information there. Apparently, at some point, the defendant, Kouri Richins, called this medical examiner to try and get some information. Child of mine, I am live streaming. Don't do it. Don't do it. Do you see her? Do you see this one over here? She is just pleased as... Stop it. I'm doing a show. You can come join me. Life with animals. Excuse you, I can see you. Sure, hang out there. The internet will love you. If you try and... Oh my God. Cheers to anybody who is a cat. We have a Belle sighting, and she's being ushered out of the room by backup because chaos. If you have a cat, you understand. You understand the chaos those little demons can create. Where was I? You know what? I'm in a swoop. I'm in a squirrel swoop. Because yes, yep, she's getting the attention she wants. She has made her first internet appearance, chat. All right, let me swoop and let's try and cover Monday again. Oh my goodness. All right, so I have some timestamps and I'm looking at which ones we are going to look at. So we had the defense asked to speak with one of the witnesses before they testified. I think it was the ME. It was like, and it turns out they had the opportunity, but they didn't end up using the opportunity. So, you know, I have noticed that there has been a theme in this case where the defense is doing their job. They're trying to poke holes. It's just that they also will try and make some claims. Like, well, last week we had a witness that they said was on their witness list. Turns out that witness was not on their witness list. And this has happened enough times that the judge has clocked it and is like, yes, I hear you. You're going to need to put that in writing. So we had that. There were hearsay arguments regarding the police video of Robert Crozier because the prosecution wanted to bring that in. That is the dealer who sold the fentanyl in question. And he had a police interview that was recorded. And what he said on the stand last week didn't entirely match the initial interview with what he told police. So the prosecution wanted to put that in to be like, just in case you needed to see, jury. And that ended up being allowed in so the jury could see that. We are still on Monday, day 6. Former chief medical examiner explained that Eric Richens, the decedent, had the items that ultimately led to his demise in his stomach, but nothing really in the bloodstream. Why is that important? Because it helps narrow down the question of, did he do it to himself? Was it very quick? That kind of thing. I'm gonna say this. When the police initially searched, this is not specifically day 6, this is just general things that we have learned up to this point. But what I am going to say is that I have known people who have struggled with addiction. And I have lost some people to that struggle. When they've done it to themselves, even if they don't mean to, there are still things around them. There is paraphernalia in the house. And in this particular case, what led me almost to beyond reasonable doubt before this even hit trial was the fact that there was nothing. He died of a fentanyl overdose, but there was nothing that the police found in the house on that day that would indicate a fentanyl overdose. So that's the issue. Now, I will say the chief medical examiner also said, or he's retired, I think, that he explained what the fentanyl does to the body. It's very heavy testimony. If you are at all squeamish, I would not go back and rewatch any of that. I find knowledge of those things interesting. So ultimately, they cannot know whether he did that. There's a reason that the cause of death is undetermined, and that is because they cannot know medically whether the decedent was given something or whether he took something. They know that it was fentanyl that did it and that he most likely ingested it. All of the how and why, they can't know that medically. So let us listen to, I'm gonna pull up the call. It seems as though Kouri Richins, the defendant, recorded these calls, which is a self-snitch that is getting to an impressive level, because this is not the only thing that she recorded herself, of herself, that does not make her look all that great. And the defense keeps trying to keep them out, but the thing is, the prosecution can put them in because it is, in fact, her statements. So we have that. So let me go ahead and pull that up, and then we are going to jump from there. So we're going to listen to a little bit of the call, because this is, I'm trying to go with the highlights today. What am I don't know what that does. Why are there new buttons? I don't need new buttons. Tech is teching, man. Tech is teching. All right. Here we go. Let me, wait, hang on. Full screen. This. Share it. Now I need to pull up my notes so that we can get to, no, we don't need the top chat replay. I am pulling this from Top Mark Media. You can, if you want to watch live trial not with an attorney, one of my favorite court casting trials is Recovery Addict. This is, he does clean court feeds on Top Mark Media, and we are super appreciative of that. So that is where I'm pulling these guys from, because I'm not as cool as some. Oh, come on, YouTube. I don't want to ask about the video. I want to just, there we go. There we go. All right. YouTube changed things on me. Okay, one, no. Come on. Nope. That is close enough. All right, let's see. I have no idea what the audio is on this at the moment. Trying to get, that's close enough. All right, there we go.
Is that Chris? Hey, this is Kouri Richins. Hey, I just have some quick questions for you. I'm just trying to understand the toxicology report, and I promise I won't take up a ton of your time.
Oh, you're fine. You're fine.
Can you just kind of explain to me, I guess, she was saying that this kind of supplemental report, I guess, was left out of the first autopsy, and so nothing has really changed. Do you have it in front of you?
I do. Yeah, I got the file here.
Scott, did we drop that again?
Yes, you got it.
All right, I apologize, folks. Let's try that again.
Oh yeah, the court has had tech issues as well, and this is Kouri Richins on screen.
Disconnect from
and
the system.
Yeah, they're disconnecting and reconnecting.
Then reconnect, please.
I'm gonna zoom.
The additional microscope.
There we go.
Another transfer, right?
So much.
Thank you so much. No problem.
Is that Chris?
Hey, this is Kouri Richins. Hey, I just have some quick questions for you. I'm just trying to understand the toxicology report, and I promise I won't take up a ton of your time.
Oh, you're fine. You're fine.
Can you just kind of explain to me, I guess, she was saying that this kind of supplemental report, I guess, was left out of the first autopsy, and so nothing has really changed. Do you have it in front of you?
I do. Yeah, I got the file here.
So can you?
So just so you know, so we issue supplemental reports, like once the original report's issued, if we do any additional testing, if we do any additional microscopic examination, anything like that, then we include that. You know, we issue a supplemental report to include that additional information. And sometimes it does change the cause or manner, but in this case it didn't.
Okay, it was just like extra testing done?
Extra tox testing, yeah. So originally the testing, the only toxicology testing that was done was on blood. And so then this was additional testing on stomach contents.
Okay, and so is there a difference in that, I guess?
Well, they just tell you different things in the sense of, it tells you something about what, was it, is it been there a long time? Is this something the person's been using for a long time?
Okay.
Is it something they ate? Is it something they, injected? Is it, whatever? And there's different things you can learn by looking at different substances. I mean, we fully expected to find it in the stomach. It's just a question of what was there.
So does does this tell you, like, if it was like injected, if he ate it, is that what this, can you tell from this report?
Not definitively. I mean, it seems like, with what the amount that's there, that it probably was ingested, probably taken by mouth.
Okay. And so so the 15 ng, like, is that like a substantial amount? Is that like a trace?
That's a lot of fentanyl in the blood. Yeah. And that's, people die with half that amount or less in their system.
Okay. So that's quite a bit.
Yeah.
So what's the next one down, the norfentanyl? What?
Now, for those of you who have not been following this from the get-go, like me, this is, I can't remember, I think this is in like April. Her husband, Eric Richens, died in March 3rd or 4th, March 3rd, I think. This might be a little bit later than that. Anyway, this is, I grieve weird, but this phone call comes across odd to me. If you're coming in cold, I'm curious as to how it reads to you. I'm going to play a little bit more of it, and then we are going to scoot on to one of the funny bits because we have lots to get through.
It's a metabolite of fentanyl. It's what your body changes fentanyl into after you take it.
Oh, I gotcha. Okay. And then, sorry, just the third one, the acetyl. I don't know how you say that.
Acetyl fentanyl.
Oh.
Yeah, that's just it's a form of, it's a variant of fentanyl that is usually only present in the setting of
So that
it's
indicates that it's
manufactured like a
not
pharmacy?
No,
at a
no,
hospital or
like,
anything.
like a lot of most fentanyl that we see that ends up leading people to die these days is related to fentanyl that's manufactured by drug cartels as opposed to by pharmaceutical companies.
Oh, good Lord. So this is like more of like a cartel. No, I mean, that's not what it is.
You call this the street fentanyl as opposed to hospital
Prescription.
fentanyl.
Yeah.
Okay, I see. And then is the ethanol, is that alcohol?
That's alcohol. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and is that like the 279? Is that kind of like a substantial amount, or is that like one drink? Is that 5 drinks?
You can't tell how much it is, and in this case, since this testing was sent, quite a long time after the original autopsy, most likely that's related to post-mortem change, but it could be stuff that he drank. There's not really a way to sort that out. It could be related to decomposition of the stomach contents.
We have no
or
idea.
It could be related to stuff he drank. But either way, in the stomach contents, there's no way to know what that level means in terms of, if that was a blood level, that would be the same as a 0.28, which would be, that person would be pretty substantially intoxicated. But
many
because
people
it's
would be
gastric
passed out.
contents, you could in theory pull something out and it would be, 100% ethanol, if, depending on if they just drank a stomach full of, if they just drank a bunch of Everclear or something else.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't really
Don't
tell you much about how much they drank or what they drank or anything like that.
I
In
gotcha.
the stomach. And it's not present in his blood, so.
I gotcha. Okay. So it's not present in the blood, just the gastric or whatever.
Right.
Okay.
So when you're dealing with something like alcohol, that means that, now I'm not the medical examiner and I'm sure they could explain that a little bit better, but if it's not present in the blood, it means it didn't metabolize to get to the blood, which means ingested, bad reaction, body shuts down, body doesn't metabolize after it's not working anymore. So that is one of the reasons why she's sitting in the chair she's sitting in. Now, I don't know why. I don't know how this call was recorded because it's not a medical examiner's office thing. Given that Kouri has recorded several other calls, I think she's the one who recorded it. But girl, why? What? I'm here for it. We get all the tea, but Miss Ma'am, no. All right, let us skip ahead to one of the moments that became just, I'm going to skip ahead and you will see why I found this incredibly hilarious and delightful. Oh, I'm like 7 seconds off. Close enough.
How would you propose we do this, Mr. Billerworth? Play the video with the scrolling transcript for the jury nowish?
This is the lead prosecutor.
Yes, Your Honor. Maybe in 5 minutes-ish.
Sure.
State drank a lot of coffee.
No, you and I both. Let me make a ruling here.
Maybe 5 minutes-ish. State drank a lot of coffee. This is how we started. This is how we started trial this week. I am here for it. I had to play that also because Mr. Bloodworth, this lovely prosecutor, is a law nerd. And so all week we have been playing Law Nerd Dictionary Bingo. It has been highly entertaining. We've gotten Swoop in this week. We've gotten Embiggen in this week. I have timestamps for some of those moments. We had, did I get the timestamp for takesy versus backsies? I don't think I did. Rats. Oh my goodness. It has been delightful. So this is all Monday. Speaking of Embiggen, Aurora, Embiggen yourself. And then find your notes again. There we go. Okay, so then they showed the jury the police video of Robert Crozier. And then The next witness was Eric Richens' business partner's wife. They used to be close. There was a bit of a falling out. And then it seems as though right around the time that Eric passed, they were starting to fix that up. If you are just joining this case, I did forget to mention at the front end that part of the whole supposed motive around all of this is the fact that they had a prenup. Side note, prenups are great. Always get a prenup. But in this particular prenup, Kouri would have ended up with basically nothing in the divorce except her debt due to bad choices. And so that is factoring into motive, because now the defense came out in opening last week and said Kouri had no idea, or Kouri knew about the prenup and things like that. But there isn't indicates. Now, the thing with the prenup is that if Eric died and they were still married, then Kouri got everything. But if they divorced, she got nothing. So, and there is indication that she did know that was happening. The defense was like, well, she just didn't really know what was in it and just signed it because prenup. Yeah. Then we had a juror that alerted the court that they had met one of the witnesses. And so they just had a double check of that, because I think the witness's last name had changed since the juror had met them. So even on the questionnaires and stuff, it was just like, hey, you need to know that I had this interaction. And I do not know if they have decided to keep or yeet the juror yet. Then they had, we're all still on Monday, day 6. Then there were further oral arguments for mistrial based on jail calls, because Ms. Nestor said, well, were there specific calls? She didn't say home wave calls, and she didn't. She walked into it. The witness said, oh, you mean the jail calls? And now she's moved for a mistrial based on the jail calls. That mistrial motion has been denied, but she wanted to make a further oral argument for the record. Why? Because if the case goes to appeal, which it will if she's convicted, the appeals court does everything based on transcript. And so you need to have both the written motions, but then it's why when you're watching court or listening to court, so many things seem very repetitive. It's because it all goes into transcript. Or, you'll hear somebody say, let the record show that he nodded, or let the record show he's wearing a blue shirt. This is all so that it gets into the transcript, so that when it goes to the appellate court, they can read through and get a sense of all the things they need to get a sense of. Okay, then we had the digital forensics expert that downloaded the phones, which was the foundation for a lot of the text messages coming in, because they did manage to get 3 phones from Kouri. They got Eric Richins' phones. They got phones from friends of Kouri's. They got phones from Kouri's Paramour. They had a lot of digital evidence. And so I'm not going to go through this because it was really sad. There was a string of text messages that came in from February 14th. So February 14th is the day that the prosecution alleges Kouri Richins tried the first time and it failed. And so there's just a string of text messages that came in where Kouri is texting her paramour, to quote EDB, "Baby, I love you." And there's a lot of "I love you, I love you, I love you. I can't wait for us to be together. This is going to be amazing. Always love. Will you be one of my Valentines?" And while all of that is happening, also what comes in are the text messages from Eric Richens, where he's talking about being so sick that he's thinking he might go to the hospital. And there's like a 3-hour gap between him texting that to the person who's his wife at the time and her responding with, "Go take a nap. Is it really that bad?" So and all of these text messages are being read like around the third or the fourth. So I cannot imagine what that was like for the family. They also confirm a ton of text messages between Kouri and the go-between, the lady who testified last week, who was the person who procured the drugs for Kouri. Then, I made a note because we had the most amazing color-coded visuals. Can I just say to all of the prosecution witnesses, thank you, thank you, thank you for taking data-heavy information and making it super clear and super easy for folks to understand, especially the neurospicy jurors that are there. And let's see. Then we got explanations of how to tell if messages are deleted, searches, things like that. Let us hop ahead to some of these searches here, because boy howdy, some of these searches, man, are one of the reasons why she's sitting in that chair. All right, let's take a look at some of the searches that came in on Monday.
Blue blobs that have no text behind them. Those are intentional redactions of information that has no relevance.
This is jury instruction.
To this case. Please do not
These
speculate
we're redacting
about
them
what was
because they
behind the
don't
blue bob.
matter.
It's
They're
irrelevant.
not relevant.
Just ignore it. Ms. Shervanek, please continue.
So as we were talking about these 3 exhibits that we will go through in turn, you mentioned web searches versus site visits.
Yes.
What are we looking at here?
These are web searches.
What's the difference?
So when you type a search into your device and to presumably search for something on the internet, when you type it in and you hit send to search, it logs the search that you had typed into your device.
And so someone could search for any multitude of things. We're all aware of that, but maybe not if the results come up. If they actually click on a result, that would be a site.
Right. We normally see, analysts will normally see corresponding web histories related to those searches. So if you were looking for a type of vehicle, you would have a search for a type of vehicle, like a 2026 Toyota 4Runner.
Your tech is always going to tell them.
And then right behind that, you'll see web history, meaning what happened was you typed in that search field, it popped up, and then there's some suggested websites for you to go to.
I'm way 26. Sorry, we're still. I had to get to explanation here. So let us pause so that we can take a look at this. How to also, can I just say, like, there is a certain amount of autocorrect that I feel like needed to have been turned off for some of these, which is fine. And I'm not necessarily judging, but also it's noticeable to me. So we have how to completely wipe as supposed to be an iPhone clear remotely, how to erase phone data permanently with IME, should have been IMEI number, how to permanently delete information from an iPhone, how to permanently delete information from an iPhone remotely. I do believe that at the time she's making these searches, her phones had been taken. Can cops force you to do a lie detector test? Just normal, everyday searches. What do we have here? What happens if you are detained but never got read Miranda rights? Can probable cause be a testimony? I mean, kind of. Yes, because we're looking at it. What are you allowed inside Utah jails? More searches. Phone doc Park City. CUNA mutual policy on life insurance cause of death. Will life insurance pay if death certificate says pending? Death certificate says pending. Will life insurance still pay? I can make room for the death certificate pending. Is life insurance going to pay for that? Then we have Federal Correctional Institution in Dublin, California. And this is one of the ones that is one of the reasons why we are all watching this, which is luxury prisons for the rich in America. Her defense attorney did try to make that be about Jen Shaw, who is a real housewife of Salt Lake City. I don't know how that landed for the jury. So that was an entertaining day. Let's see. Yeah. So that was day 6, Monday. I am going to swoop and we are going to move on to day 7, which was Tuesday, which was my favorite day. Tuesday was an amazing day. Swoop. Okay, need to find my notes for Tuesday and need to pull up Tuesday. Why are we not? Tuesday was day 7. Yes, Tuesday was day 7. Okay, pause. Don't mind me. So Tuesday was forensic accounting day because Eric Richens' sisters, due to a previous altercation and some of Kouri's initial behavior right around the time that Eric died, they hired a forensic accountant to find out just how bad it was with, wow, why is my mouse not working? With Kouri's debt. And so this was, it could be a super boring day. I understand so I am a biller. So I spend my day in the accounting department hanging with numbers. I'm going to say, don't mess with accountants. Do not mess with the people who handle the numbers because, well, in part because pattern recognition is kind of our jam. And also in part because so many of us are just built with I don't really care who you are. I'm going to follow the numbers and then I'm going to tell you what the numbers say. And I loved this forensic accountant. I am a big fan. I did, in fact, actually Google what would be needed to become a forensic accountant after her testimony. I'm still not sure it's for me, but it was delightful. So, and let's see. Let us just go to Ms. Nestor effectively objecting to all of it, because it's a good little snapshot as to how the day was going to go. And then we're going to jump ahead because we had some gems on this particular day. I just need to get to the right. Is that? No, there we go. All right. We have it. No, I lost it. I'm back here. Where's my timestamp? How close am I? No, I'm not there. There we go. That is close enough.
Well, I have. And my initial thought was to do just a continuing objection to everything. But the reality is there's definitely things she's going to testify to that we agree are appropriate for this trial. And there's a whole bunch of things she's going to testify to that we don't think belong in this trial. So my thought, what I was planning to do, is when she got into an area that we believe falls under our original motion in limine, and I would just stand up and say, we object to 401, 403, 404B, and just make the record right then, no speaking objection, and then you can just rule, and I've made a contemporaneous objection at the time, and we don't have to stop and have arguments. I mean, I feel like we veered into defendant preserving her record for appeal, and that's different than my question, but we can start there and then go back to my question. Well, I mean, the 403 issue, put that aside. I recognize that it's possible that Ms. Carrington's testimony would get to the point where defendant would want to make a 403 objection based not on unfair prejudice, but on cumulative evidence, wasting time, things like that. And you won't know that till you see it come in. So put that aside. I've already ruled on the unfair prejudice piece. I've already ruled on the 404B issue. I need to give the jury a contemporaneous instruction, though, rather than do it every 15, 20 minutes. I thought it might be better just to do it up front at some point.
Right.
And it's how to do that in a way that's fair to
I'm a big fan of this, Judge.
Well, my concern about that would be that it would, if there's just a blanket instruction, they're not going to know which parts of her testimony that relates to.
Well, in the written jury instructions, I think we're going to have to tell them. We talked about this during the motions to eliminate hearing, that I think the 404B instruction will need to have some specificity about qualitatively this transaction or that transaction or this part of this transaction or this conduct in that transaction cannot be considered for, but can be considered for.
It's just that the expanse of what she's going to testify to is vast, right? Like
well, maybe. I don't know.
She's going to talk about taxes. She's going to talk about business. She's going to talk about assets and liabilities. She's going to talk about...
Even not all of that is 404B information.
That's exactly my point,
right.
Which it makes it complicated. I mean, if you're recommending that we start with just an admonishment that some of her testimony will involve... I just don't know how you do it before we get to the topic. It's so broad. I don't know how you would even word it. I mean, I'll happily sit down and try to work with the court and the state and try to come up with a broad admonishment for the beginning. I just don't know it's going to have much effect because she's going to be all over the place.
Well,
and there is a lot of what she's going to testify to that we're like, fine. I mean, it goes to motive. I'm not going to be unreasonable. I recognize their theory. I disagree with it, but I recognize it. And if they're trying to establish, her financial condition at the time of death, I think that's going to come in. I'm not unrealistic about that. But I think she's going to go pretty far beyond that, right? So at that point, I feel like I'm going to want a contemporaneous objection, and I may want the court, because as you ruled, I think wisely in the motion to eliminate hearing, a lot of this you can't tell till you hear it as it comes in, because it may have a foundation and it may not.
So basically, she objects to all of this person. I do think, I have to say, I think the prosecution learned from the Murdaugh case, got a little out of hand with the financials, because that was a separate thing. They did, I thought, a pretty good job of actually tailoring her testimony to be probative, not prejudicial, and to not make it seem like just because she committed financial issue, fraud. There was a lot of fraud. That it inherently makes her a murderer, right? The two are not always the same. So I thought they did a really good job with that. And the defense is doing what they need to do, which is we object to everything because the facts of this case are horrible for them. So, let's see. We start with the lovely forensic accountant, Brooke Carrington. And it's a lot of, who are you? What do you do? What are you allowed to look at? Who handed you the information? I go through all of that. We find out, and the jury finds out, how much debt Kouri is in. She took out a $250,000 HELOC on the home that she lived in with her husband. That was her husband's house. There was a power of attorney. It's not clear if Eric knew that Kouri had taken this power of attorney, which is how she got the HELOC. And $250,000 to just take out of a house that you don't own without telling your spouse is much. That's no. And then there is the argument over whether or not, then there's a little bit of a outside the presence of the jury argument over whether or not testimony about the Barney house, which was, the house that Kouri Richins sold to one of her best friends. And when I say sold, I use that term real loosely because basically gave her $45,000 and then proceeded to pay the mortgage on the house, or so she thought, for 9 months. Kouri never filed the paperwork transferring the deed to her friend and didn't have the money. And so her friend got evicted from this house that she thought that she bought from Kouri. That was a rough day. So, then we are going to get, so let me get to that bit because it does come in. Oh, that's a new feature. Okay. Nope, that's not what I wanted to do. That's what I wanted to do. All right. Let's go find that timestamp. Come on. That. There we go.
Is represented? Is this that one?
Kind of. So originally, Kouri Richins Realty purchased the property. She ended up moving a friend in after she had purchased it.
This is some of the fight.
To arrange a purchase. The friend could not qualify for a loan, so they were trying to do a seller financing agreement where the friend would pay a chunk to Kouri to make up, so Kouri could pay off the hard money lenders, and then Kouri would just keep the property. They would seller finance it over time. There was a dispute right before Ms. Richens was arrested. She was holding off switching the deed to the name of the friend because there's reasons why that was. It had to do with a insurance claim on the house that was pending. But there is debate about whether or not the delay in switching the deed to the friend's name was somehow dishonest or misleading to the friend or had been misled. That's up in the air. So if we're only looking at the Barney property for the purpose of this property profit analysis, I don't have a problem with that. if we're going to get into all of the representations that were made about the property, whether or not there was, I don't even think they're saying there was fraud, but whether there was dishonesty or any of that, then I want to have a 404B analysis. So I guess I'm just alerting everybody that this was one of the issues in my motion in limine. This was one of the issues the court said you'd probably have to hear foundation for at trial.
No, I ruled on this one specifically, but that's fine. We can raise it again.
Right. So
the court is so over this. Like, I'm going to bring this up and see if I can slip one past you. And he's like, yeah, no, nope. I ruled on this one. We've already had this conversation. Then I'm going to, so for those of us who are law nerds, I believe on Monday, was it last week? I don't know. At some point, Zoom room, which is an EDB thing, was mentioned. And then this happened. It's like chat was like, well, I mean, if he says Swoop, then we know he's shush. Then we know Prosecutor Bloodworth is watching, because this all started in pretrial motions when Mr. Bloodworth said, it's docket 214, Your Honor, but every law nerd on the internet calls it the walk the dog letter. And now it's just become a bit. And I am here for it. So for the law nerds out there, I'm going to pull up the Bloodworth swoop of it all. Because it's just fun. Where are we at? Little. I think that's it. Hang on.
Balance.
It shows 2 accounts, not 3, and the total at month end is $15,609.90.
5-32B.
Oh, wait, I missed
Scott,
it.
if you can swoop to
$93.
Thank you, Scott. If you can swoop to 5-32B.
It was the emphasis on the swoop. Scott, can you swoop to, oh my goodness. I thought EDB was going to fall out of her chair when that happened. It was really funny. So let's see. That is, well, that's not a terrible pause face. So then there's discussion of this Midway mansion, which is how it's been talked about, that she didn't have money troubles because this Midway mansion would have fixed everything, which is supposedly where she took the $250,000 out of her own house that was not her house, to use it to buy this property. Well, turns out that property was an absolute money hole. And the amount of things, I mean, to the point where it was like in the as-is agreement, it was like, there is a very real possibility that animals have inhabited this house. So you would need to, like, it was not suitable for humans at all. So also with this witness, I'm going to skip ahead now to one of my all-time favorite moments in here of discussing this house that she sold to Bestie, and what happens when you ask bad questions or don't ask questions in a way that is, or when you ask unclear questions. So let's see if that's where we are at. I might have to skip ahead. Let me see if my timestamps are correct, though. All right. This is not it. I need to scoot. Almost there. Close enough.
Just saying, I know eventually I have to come up with $45,000.
Right.
So in your scenario, okay.
Okay. And then what happened before they got to the closing? Do you happen to know?
I'm sorry, that's a big ambiguous question. No, I don't. I don't know what you're after.
Do you know whether Kouri was arrested before they were able to do the closing?
Kouri was arrested 14 months later.
Are you talking about the closing on Chelsea Barney's house?
I think what you're asking me is, so Chelsea Barney gave her the money in January of 2022.
Mhm.
Eric died in March of 2022. Kouri was arrested in May of 2023, coming out of the title company in which she borrowed $95,000, using that home as collateral.
Okay.
Along with the Roy house that Kouri also owned. And then she used that $95,000 for debt payments of her own.
Okay.
So is that the closing you're talking about?
Yes.
That you can see on Miss Nestor's face. Even Bloodworth had a moment where he glanced over at the jury because it was like, she can't object because it was her. I mean, she could object, but there aren't grounds for Ms. Nestor to object to this answer because this witness is trying to clarify it. But in trying to clarify it, this witness was just like, oh, is this what you mean? All of the things that make the defendant look real bad, and you can see it on Nestor's face. So let us see. And then I don't know what my other note is, so I probably... I don't know what I mean by this note. So we're going to skip ahead to my next timestamp here and see what I meant. There we go.
My husband, and they'll have plenty of money.
Objection, Your Honor.
Did you ever see any of that?
Overruled. Ms. Carrington, you can answer the question.
There's an email between her and Mount Strong where she talks about the inconvenience of being married.
Okay, that's
so
another. Does that answer the question I just asked you?
You've asked. I'm not trying to create anything, but you said, is there anything that indicated anything? And I don't talk like that.
So,
yeah.
Apart from an email that she sent saying it was inconvenient being married, have you ever seen any suggestion in anything in writing that Kouri's financial plan was to collect on life insurance and pay all this money off? Have you ever seen that?
To collect the life insurance to pay everything off? No.
Thank you.
Because, although honestly, given the calls that Kouri recorded, it would not surprise me if she did, in fact, write it down somewhere. But yeah, that was a day of Ms. Nestor losing whatever game she was playing. She was trying, and this witness was not hopping in with that. So that is the end of day 7. 2 days left because it was only 4 days left of court. So I'm going to swoop. We are going to take a pause for just a moment. And then I'm going to zoom as best I can through day 8 and 9. These streams, I don't know how Tragos doesn't do a whole week in an hour. He does a day in an hour. So, I'm trying. All the people I watch do this in 4 hours. So I think I'm doing all right. So let me swoop. And then I'm going to say, stand, stretch, give a little wiggle. Swoop. Fix my in-ear is driving me crazy. All right. Stretchy before we start in on day 8. Day 8 was also so jam-packed. Thank you, YouTube, for actually making my life easier. All right. Day 8. Day 8, we started with LaShonda Rogers from the insurance company. She testified about the beneficiary switcheroony on the buy-sell agreement. It went from Cody to Kouri and then back to Cody. There was a bit of a switcheroo, which got Eric to, it alerted Eric, I do believe, to the issue that Kouri was trying to switch things out. What is a buy-sell agreement? Well, I learned what a buy-sell agreement is this week, this trial. So when you have a business partnership, as Eric did with his business partner, Cody, it seems to be the recommended thing to have a life insurance policy that is that is part of this buy-sell agreement. Basically what that is that you have an insurance policy that pays out if you are severely injured and can't work, or die unexpectedly, or things like that, where your portion of that pays out to your business partner. And the reason for that is effectively a life insurance policy that covers buying out your half of the business. And hearing that, I'm like, that makes all the sense in the world. So there is, in all of this, there was information of that indicators that Kouri was perhaps trying to redirect that money to herself. So that's not a super innocent look. And then there is another motion for mistrial that included, I believe, the state is making faces at us, Your Honor. So let us jump to that. I will put it on screen in a second. We're going to jump to close enough. All right. That one. Play.
Okay, we're on the record. Please proceed.
Thank you. This morning at 8:30, we received, well, Ms. Nestor received a text from the state, which none of us saw until we were sitting here in court, where they have now provided documentation that Ms. Lauber did in fact violate drug court during the time that after she was cooperating in this case. That's Giglio information. I did not have that information to cross her with. They further, for the first time, disclosed the text messages between her and Detective Maynard that I asked her about. What's in these text messages should have been available. I could have used this on cross-examination. It's different than what she testified to. This is Giglio that was not given to us, and we moved for a mistrial.
Okay, pause. So you're calling it Giglio information because you believe it is information that is material to impeachment of one of the state's witnesses?
Yes.
Okay.
I also appreciate this judge for how he handles these things. I also thoroughly appreciate this has started mostly this week, but a little bit last week. It seems to be his habit, but I still absolutely love it. Okay, pause. Now let's see what we're looking at here.
And do you have any basis to say that the state had it before Ms. Lauber was put on the stand?
Well, this was information that we requested. It was information we requested when we tried to get...
Answer my question.
Yes, it belonged to Detective Maynard. Detective Maynard had this information and sent an email to Mr. Bloodworth about the violation prior to the trial starting. Mr.
Bloodworth.
I'm not entirely sure what text message this defense received this morning. It was not from me. I had not heard of it until just now. I understand that about 10 days ago, the defense submitted a GRAMA request to the sheriff's office asking for information related to the supervision of Carmen Lauber.
By Mr. Maynard.
They asked for any information on all supervision. Okay. The supervision was by Eric Maynard.
Yeah.
I think they're referencing a violation of probation involving she was caught with an alcoholic beverage. Is that what we're talking about?
That's correct.
I provided that information to defense maybe 3 weeks ago in an email.
Okay. Ms. Lewis, I'm not going to shoot from the hip on this. You have to put this in a written motion so I can see it all with the timeline and the content. Let the state respond to.
Yes, I can. I will just state for the record, the email about the alcohol violation was sent to Mr. Bloodworth November 15th, 2023.
Well, what about Mr. Bloodworth's email to defense that he just referenced?
I saw no such email.
Okay, well, we'll get into it, but you've got to put this in writing.
The number of times this defense team has said that and then had it, or the prosecution has been like, we sent it on this day with this timestamp. So I think that's one of the reasons why the, I have not gotten to the fun part of this yet. We will continue.
We're not going to do this on oral representations in a moment.
Yeah, understood.
Put it in writing so that I can see it and fact check it.
Not on that, no. You want to address anything?
Do you have one other issue, Your Honor? I know that it is always tradition that the state gets to sit closest to the jury in every trial I've ever been in. That's the case, and we actually prefer it that way. But we are getting reports from individuals who are watching this matter on television that particularly yesterday, but also previously to yesterday, that members of the prosecution team are making faces at the jury during our cross-examinations, and we would ask that
With respect, I have a better view of this than any of the cameras. I haven't seen anything like that.
Okay, well, we've asked for the timestamps, and we're going to try to provide it to the court, but all I'm asking is just a gentle admonishment that that's not appropriate and to try to refrain from doing that to the extent that is happening. Also, the second concern that I have is when Mr. Bloodworth is tendering the witness to the defense, he's making a statement that I believe the defense will have questions for you. We do believe that's, I'm sure it's not intentional, but it's burden shifting, and we would ask that he not make that statement at the conclusion. We're not required to ask.
It's a perfectly normal
so we just
statement
ask
to
that
make.
No longer be stated to the witnesses in the presence of the jury.
It is a perfectly normal statement.
Yeah, as a matter of law, I don't view that as any instruction to the jury or comment regarding burden shifting. If you stand up and say you have no questions, you have no questions. I'm not going to admonish anybody for anything that isn't happening. The only faces I've seen are counsel at me. And so I think we're well within the proper bounds of appropriate conduct from what I can see from here.
Right.
Anything else?
We'll submit it in a motion, Your Honor.
Okay.
We'll submit it in a motion. I do. Oh, I'm sorry, sir.
All right. Mr. Bloodworth, anything before we invite the jury in?
No, yeah.
Okay.
I love the smirk. I love that smirk. It is delightful. So that was basically how day 8 kicked off. Let's see. Then we heard we heard a lot of insurance. So we heard from the insurance representative about where the extra policy on Eric came from, because part of what has gone into this case is Kouri Richins did get an additional life insurance policy on Eric Richens very, very shortly before he died. And that's sussy. That's very sus when that happens. So that has been brought in. Then we heard from, a divorce attorney that Eric had gone to see. And he went through, filled out the whole packet, all of that. And then we learned through that witness that this divorce attorney only communicated with Eric through his brother-in-law, because Eric was like, nothing can come into my house. So it all goes through the brother-in-law. Then we saw the estate attorney for Eric Richens, Ms. Bowman Carter, who set up the trust for Eric, because part of all of this is that once he died, Kouri Richins discovered that he had after talking with the divorce attorney and everything like that, Eric Richens had gotten everything set up in trust. So Kouri has had zero access to anything, because the administrator of the trust is Eric Richens' sister, not Kouri Richins. So she has not had a dime of this money or anything since he passed. And so we heard from the estate attorney who set that trust up. And then somewhere in her testimony, we heard that there was somebody claiming to be a lawyer. I'm not sure that I think they were a lawyer, but it was odd enough that this attorney, I think this is the attorney that was like, this is weird, and Googled them because the person had contacted her to be like, hey, Eric just died. Don't move forward with the trust or anything like that because reasons. So, and then the Paramour arrives to testify, and it starts off with the wildest, what turned out to be nothing burger, but I've never seen this. I have never seen this. It was insane. It was insane. Did we actually move it? We did. Okay. So I'm going to share it with you because I've never seen this. I've never heard this. This is
the state's next witness, please.
Your Honor, the state calls Robert Josh Grossman.
This would be the Paramour. He's being called because a lot of the text messages are on his phone or on phones that were recovered from him that were broken, physically broken. There we go.
Mr. Grossman, good afternoon. If you'd step in front of Brittany, we'll get you sworn in.
This poor dude, though.
Can you please raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in the matter before the court to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Oh, wait, hang on. No, we need to slow this down. Slow this down. Okay. Had to go to real time for that.
Pains and penalties of perjury.
Sir, do you swear to tell the whole truth under the pains and penalties of perjury, yes or no?
I won't lie. I'll tell as much as I need to. In this setting, I assume all the answers to questions not.
Stand right there for a moment, if you don't mind.
And do we see the defendant's face over here? She just smirking. Oh my goodness. So it turned out that I think he was just very, very nervous. The sound that you heard at around that time was basically everybody losing their minds. Yeah. What do you mean by the whole truth? So do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth? What do you mean by the whole truth? I mean, I'm not going to lie, but sir, that's not how this goes. That is not how this goes. If you are going to tell the truth, you just tell the truth. You just tell the truth. I have to say though, I do feel bad for this dude, because I can't even imagine being in that situation where you've made some bad choices and you've ended up in this relationship that you probably shouldn't even be in. And now you're on the witness stand with all these text messages. As at one point he's like, I have something to say, and it's like, well, you can't, sir. You have to wait. You have to wait for the question. So I don't know what it was. At one point he had his head down on the table. It was really sad because it seems, based on a whole lot of things, it does really seem like he was manipulated and I mean that's what it seems to me. And that was day 8. So we're almost, I'm going to swoop, and then we're on to day 9. We're almost done, I promise. All right, pulling up day 9. Pulling up day 9. Day 9, Thursday. We saw the divorce attorney that Kouri met with. And so Kouri had called this divorce attorney, went in, had a meeting with her. Like my suspicion, I think Emily's suspicion is that the attorneys all looked at that prenup and went, girl, you're not going to change this. And so she decided not to go through with it. She had supplied the retainer. I do note, so I want to say that there were some commentary. I saw chat being really confused about the retainer. The retainer amount was yes, a good case of when women go bad, they go really bad. Yeah, Kouri is definitely not she's not coming across smelling like roses in this. No matter how her attorneys try to turn this into the Karen Reed trial, it's a very different set of facts. But yeah, so there was a lot of stuff in chat when the divorce attorney mentioned that the retainer was $5,000 for divorce. This is not legal advice. This is just somebody who is a legal biller, and I see these types of retainer requests and retainers come in quite a lot. I'm going to say this: if you have reached the point where divorce is going to be happening, you can probably plan on a $5,000 retainer. There's 2 ways it will end up working. Item number 1 is the firm or the firm/attorney takes that $5,000, puts it into retainer, and it's a whole like accounting kind of thing. If you want the full deep dive explanation into what actually happens with that money, I'm happy to share, because basically it's your money. It just is being held for the attorney's fees and costs, because there are a lot of fees and costs that go into a divorce. Filing fees, transcripts, depending on how much discovery you have to do, depending on how contentious things are. So $5,000 is a pretty reasonable standard amount. And if you've reached that point and we were having a conversation, I'm going to say plan on $5,000. If the firm isn't asking for that, I would ask more questions. It's not that they're a bad firm. It's just that I would have more questions as to why they're not looking for the retainer up front. The reason they go for the retainer up front, especially in this particular case, is a lot of different reasons. Number 1 is that way the attorney knows that that chunk of their fees is covered. You've already paid it. And for a lot of the billing, it will come out of that retainer. It depends. Each firm is different for how they do it. Each client and engagement letter is different. Sometimes you submit that retainer, and that is just a backstop in case things go sideways and you're not able to pay again. And sometimes that retainer is designed to be used. That would all be mapped out in the engagement letter that you're going to get from the firm. Anyway, this is what I do. If you ever have questions about that sort of a thing, I can only speak from my experience, but I'm happy to answer them. If anybody wants me to do a deep dive on some of the weird oddities of, law firm accounting team, I'm your girl. Or one of them. So anyway, that was I'm gonna swoop because that was definitely a side. That was a squirrel quest. Okay, and then in cross, the defense tried to make, so we have the 5K retainer and 4,700 and change gets given back, which means some work was done, but probably not. That's, might have even just been the consulting fee or running a check or something like that on something. And so the defense attorney gets up there and tries to make that seem like it's for real estate that this lawyer now does. And on redirect, the prosecution is like, but did you do that kind of law when Kouri was there? And she's like, no, at that time I only did divorces. Okay. How'd that go for you, defense? Not well. Then they called the owner of the Mirror Lake Diner, which is the place that Kouri bought the alleged breakfast sandwich. And then we're going to jump ahead because the first timestamp that I have, my note is law nerd bingo achieved. So let me pull that up. No. I'm almost there, guys. Hang on. You should see it. There we go. This is the gentleman testifying about the mirror.
Yeah. Scott, can you go to the next page, please?
Oh wait, hang on. No, Mr. Bloodworth, we're gonna back up just a bit. I'm gonna put on closed captions.
Scott, can you go to the next page, please? Is this portion of the document that we're looking at now?
Okay, so this is Megan's checkout. This would be at the end of her shift. And this is like a breakdown of credit cards, whether MasterCard, Discover, cash sales, and that kind of stuff.
And then Scott, if you can go down to the third document. Can you embiggen that top part? Thank you. And then
it was the can you embiggen that top part? Because when we had swoop day, Scott, can you swoop to that? Everybody in chat was like, hi, Mr. Bloodworth. We see you. We see you. And then chat did if he uses embiggen, then we know. Then we know. And then the next day he used, Scott, can you embiggen that for us, please? So this has become quite the game. Quite the game. It is now a fun little thing for this particular chat community. I am here for it. Speaking of embiggen, I should embiggen myself because law nerd bingo done for the week. Then there was a friend of Eric's that testified. And then Chelsea Barney testified. Chelsea Barney is I'm going to assume, ex-bestie who handed Kouri Richins $45,000 and then paid $3,000 a month in mortgage to Kouri Richins, thinking that she owned the home that she didn't own, that then she got evicted from when the house foreclosed. So it was rough testimony, and there was a lot of text messages that came in. There was a lot of back and forth. This poor woman, I echo what EDB said, which is when the companies come calling and asking her for interviews, like, yeah, they don't pay for interviews, but you can absolutely license your pictures of that house and things that, like, there's ways that you can make the money, and you should make the money back because the likelihood that this poor woman is ever going to get that money back is probably nil. So it's just heartbreaking. And all because Kouri Richins never transferred the deed, and then used the house as collateral to get another loan. Then they played the first part of a three-way call. Given the timing, we're not going to go through that. But first of the three-way call with one of Eric's friends, Bryce. Why Kouri recorded this, because I'm pretty sure it was her, is beyond me, because it contradicts a lot of things she told other people. This is where lying is hard. Lying is just so hard because you have to remember what you said to whom and when. And Kouri, frankly, didn't do a great job of that. And then let's jump ahead to we have another best friend. This one seems to be an actual best friend who is still a best friend. Based on her testimony, she seemed really happy to see Kouri. And so let us take a quick look at her. And we are going to look specifically at, I feel like that note can't be right, but we're gonna jump to my timestamp, and my note says this is the discussion about Eric getting sick on Valentine's Day from the alleged breakfast sandwich. So that is not far enough. But let me, and small in me. Ooh, terrible pause face, ladies. Let me. No, I need my timestamp again. Hang on. I'll get there. Oh, wait. I gotta zoom. Oh, come on, don't. Close enough.
Mistaking on that visit you mentioned, the weekend of February 20th, 2022. Did there come a time when you, Kouri Richins, Eric Richins, and maybe others were having a conversation about Eric Richins becoming ill on Valentine's Day?
Yes.
Who was present for that conversation?
Myself, Kouri, Eric, Selma, and Wade, our other friends.
How did that conversation arise?
What do you mean?
Who started?
I can't remember who started the conversation.
How did you come to learn about whatever happened on Valentine's Day?
Eric told us.
What did Eric Richins say?
He said that he thought that Kouri had tried to poison him, but it was more of a funny story. It was like an allergic reaction is what we had thought it was.
So Eric jokingly, I want to accurately capture
we were laughing at the story.
So did Eric,
along with Eric.
Right. Did Eric jokingly say that Kouri Richins had tried to
Yes, and we all teased Kouri for trying to kill him or poison him or whatever he thought it was.
Okay. How did Kouri Richins react to Eric Richins jokingly say that she tried to poison him on Valentine's Day?
She laughed about it. We were all laughing.
Did she say anything about what happened on
She
Valentine's?
said, no, that's not what happened, that he had, that it was an allergic reaction or something, or it wasn't that dramatic. It didn't happen like that. Something along those lines.
Did she say how it happened or what happened?
No, not that I can recall.
Just that it didn't happen as Eric jokingly said it happened.
No, but with Eric right there.
Sure. Eric's there the whole time.
Yes.
Understood.
Okay, so that doesn't help in my mind Kouri's case at all. That this is her bestie talking about everybody joking, Eric joking about it. So let's see. This is, you know what? I'm going to skip way ahead because this is a TLDR I'm going to skip ahead to my last couple timestamps here. I thought her testimony was interesting. I definitely got a different vibe between her and Kouri than, but she doesn't seem to be somebody who was at the wrong end of Kouri's money troubles. So that can make a pretty big difference. So let me skip ahead. We're skipping across entirely because we are trying to do the TLDR and we're almost there. All right, hang on. So close. Nope, I overshot. We also learned that Kouri was trying to get in the safe just a couple days after Eric passed, or within a couple days of Eric's passing. She was trying to get to the will before the sisters could get to the will. For me, that does not help her case, but for some jurors, it might. So,
did he tell you, I believe Kouri tried to poison me, or did he say to you, did Kouri tell you she tried to poison me?
No, he said, Kouri tried to poison him.
All right, and who was there? Kouri was there?
Yes.
And what was her response to that?
She was laughing and she said that's not what happened.
And what did happen?
I don't know what happened. Well, he took a bite of the sandwich and got an allergic reaction and had to shoot himself with an EpiPen.
Okay, so they talked about that there was an allergic reaction. Yes. Was everyone laughing?
Yes, we were all laughing, and we jokingly said, "Don't eat what Kouri feeds you."
Okay, and did Eric?
See, that was right to the defendant, and I wonder. I don't know what the view is for the jury, but that was directly to the defendant, and it was noticed. It was noticed. So that was the end. I'm going to double check my notes. That was the end of day 9. That was the end of the week. Everybody had Friday off. And we're back at it again on Monday. So that was the TLDR of week 2 of this trial. I think next week towards the middle or end of the week, I've heard rumors that the prosecution is aiming to rest their case on Monday or Tuesday. There's still a lot of information to come in though. So I don't know. But then again, all of these court days are so crazy long. There is more court time, I think. It ain't Massachusetts. Utah operates more like Florida. So that is that. So thank you for hanging with me. I know this one was crazy long, but it wasn't news. It was trial. So I had a thought and then it vanished. I hope that you are well. May Mercury in retrograde be kind to you, because it is kicking everybody else I know's butt. So may you avoid the Mercury in retrograde problem. I will try and get timestamps up on this sooner rather than later. And as always, if you go to barksalotmedia.com, and you can check out the Barkalot shop. We've got hoodies. I've got other sample merch on its way to me. I cannot wait. Very excited with that. Anyway, thank you all. Thanks for hanging in here with me. If you're here for the long TLDRs, for this trial, go ahead and let me know in the comments, and do hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. We've just rebranded, and we're still in the process of moving and settling into the new Barkalot channel. And so go ahead and share the video with your friends, because we all want to be friends here. So there, I've done my due diligence. I've done all of the self-sponsoring things. You know how it goes. You know how it goes. We creators out here, we gotta work that hustle as well. Mostly entirely. I just do this so that I get to hang with you, and we get to have a lovely time together. And with that, I'm going to let you out into your weekend. I hope you have a fantastic Sunday. Let us hope that the news is not just, can we take the volume from 11 down to like 5? That would be great for the news. For just a few days would be lovely. So anyway, lovelies, thank you for being here. Thanks for hanging with us. As always, be well, do good, and remember to bark a lot. I will see you on the next.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of Bark a Lot. Follow me on Threads and Insta at the Aurora H. White. That's where I post most frequently between shows. Hit that like button, connect with us, and remember to bark a lot. We will see you next time.